It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends up, yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome on in. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker. Love to hear from you as well. Be a part of the program by texting in to the Young Power Sports of Logan text line, 435-339-0321. For those who want to chime in, comment, ask a question, or I don't know, whatever, discuss what's going on with your holiday plans. I don't care. Let us know. I always love the interaction and being able to interact with you guys in real time. Or, you know what? If you're listening to the podcast sometime whenever it's convenient for you, you're on your way to grandma's house or whatever, and this is something that's keeping your mind occupied, you can always text us whenever it's convenient to you, and we'll try to get to those texts as we see them when we're doing the show. But 435-339-0321, those are the numbers to text in. A lot of talk last hour about college football, what's going on with the Mountain West and their bowl schedule coming up starting this Saturday with Boise State in the LA Bowl. And Mountain West teams will be involved in bowls all the way through December 27th. Future Pac-12 teams will be involved all the way until January, 2nd or 3rd, with Texas State involved in their bowl. So Utah State obviously preparing for Washington State, who they will face in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl on December 22nd at 12 noon, high noon, on the blue turf in Boise. So I like the matchup. I think it's intriguing. It's a 4-hour drive from Logan, about a 5.5 hour drive from Pullman. Easy driving distance for both fan bases and both future Pac-12 opponents. So I really am interested by this matchup for Utah State. But we also talked about a lot of the controversy going on with bowl season generally, as there's been a lot of discussion about what's going on with Notre Dame and their decision. And then a lot of the debate is now shifted to, should there be G5 inclusion, period, in the college football playoff, which is just silly. Like, they need everybody's votes. The way they set it up, they need everybody's votes to determine the next, how the college football playoff is structured. They need all of the conferences to agree. And
problem is that I don't think that's going to be the case going forward.
It probably won't.
Isn't the Big Ten and SEC going to get like 60% going forward?
They're going to have an outsized, oversized portion, yes. Well,
and let me say this, and I'm going to maybe go off track slightly here. And I'm not the first person to say this, but it's something worth knowing, because BYU is going on a full rant about ESPN not, this narrative. There's also conspiracy about ESPN just conspiring because they've got, the ACC and like SEC. So there's this media narrative there. And I'm not saying those are really unfounded. In fact, they probably are founded in reality, where BYU, they weren't even included on the graphics.
Right.
They literally have, here are the playoff resumes of teams 9, 10, and 12. Guess where BYU was at?
They were conspicuously absent.
Yeah. It's like, what the heck are you doing? Like, you're not even, Kalani Sitake kind of made from, at least include us on the graphic.
Yeah.
Because he knew they
it's like it was a foregone conclusion that they weren't even going to be included. So why discuss them?
And the ACC now, where Miami kind of maybe skating in on the skin of their teeth, where they were on the outside looking in until they just randomly decided that actually the head-to-head with Notre Dame mattered, so they swapped Notre Dame and Miami, which is where Notre Dame got all ticked off. But the ACC and Big 12 are going to start getting the treatment that the G5 has been getting, because you have all these teams that are like, we're being excluded. It's this SEC and Big 10 bias, and we're not being viewed as having the right strength of schedule, even though BYU is like strength of schedule and SOR were better than some of the teams in the playoff. But because they're in the Big 12, they're seen as inferior. And all the G5 are like,
welcome to life in the Mountain West.
Welcome to the club. The Mountain West, the Sun Belt, anything.
The American, the MAC.
Anything that isn't the SEC and the Big Ten. And like, you also look at the SEC and Big Ten taking a bigger share of college football, stuff. It's like the ACC and Big 12 are essentially handing over all control to the SEC and Big Ten at hopes that they'll be included in the club. That it's going to be a P4.
Right. It's P4. It was P5. Then the Pac-12 essentially dissolved.
The Pac-12 got eaten alive.
So then it became P4. Now it's really only P2. And the other two conferences, I don't know if we can call them, P4 light or G5 plus, because the rules that apply to them are about the same as what they apply to everybody else in college football.
Yeah, you got SEC people that are saying, "Oh, you played a Big 12 schedule. That's weak. That's nothing." ACC and all. It's like they're getting the same treatment that the G5 is getting, except there's slightly more respect. And I think it's fitting the way you call it. It's P5 light or G5 plus, where it's like it is not seen as the same as the SEC or Big Ten. And I think that they're seeing the symptoms of being treated as inferior. They thought they were on the same playing field, but again, most of college football, like 100 of the 136 teams, are getting played for fools, thinking they're all in the same boat together, when in reality you have a handful of TV and conference executives of the SEC and Big Ten that are just saying, we control everything and you'll be happy with whatever we give you. And I know that that's where most of college football viewership is, but I think if you actually had the rest of college football band together and actually grow a spine, you could punch back a little bit. Because the SEC and Big Ten are basically using the threat of we'll split off. And honestly, the answer should be, all right, go ahead. See where that gets you.
Yeah. Got a text coming in on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line. This came in last hour, but kind of a carryover of that discussion, which we're having right now. But 2603 asking if we think Notre Dame considers joining the Big Ten. Also, Notre Dame's AD reminds me of Utah's last season. I also hope Tulane and James Madison win.
Yeah, talking about I hope those two beat their first round opponents. Yeah, Notre Dame, and I think we'll play this audio in a second here, but Notre Dame complaining and all this stuff where they're trying to be this high and mighty, we're going to be independent, half in, half out, especially the ACC, and it's especially funny considering they were attacking the ACC earlier today or yesterday, and well, heck, probably today as well. But Notre Dame, I don't think they're going to join a conference because they've been able to get away with not being in a conference. They have the media deal.
For football.
Yeah, for football. Yeah, this is obviously football because they're in the ACC and literally everything except else. Football. So it's like, if they are going to join a conference, it'll be the Big Ten.
I don't know. Because their AD today spoke glowingly of conversations that he's had with the SEC commissioner.
Oh, the SEC? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking geographically, but
geographically and purpose of institution, the Big Ten would seem to be the most obvious choice.
Yeah.
But based on the relationship and the discussions and how he's speaking about various conference commissioners, they may be looking to the SEC.
Well, the Big Ten commissioner is, well, again, there are certain words I can't say on radio that I'd like to say about I'm not sure that the SEC commissioner is all that much better, but the Big Ten commissioner has come up with the most ridiculous ideas for college sports and really deserves to be completely cut off from college sports. He doesn't deserve to have any involvement with it. So, yeah, if they join a conference, that'll be either the Big Ten or SEC. Once upon a time, I think everyone thought they would, if they were going to join a conference, it would be the ACC, but it's pretty clear that's not happening.
Yeah.
And that's before the controversy of this, just because the ACC is kind of dying as a power conference. So Notre Dame would join one of the P2, essentially. So, but let's stop beating around the bush. Let's play this clip that we pulled actually from the Dan Patrick Show yesterday morning, where Notre Dame's going on this pouty tour, where their athletic director, and how do you say his name?
Bavakwa.
Bavakwa? Okay. So he goes on, Dan Patrick's show to basically whine about the treatment, supposed treatment they're getting from the ACC.
What role did the ACC play in any of this, in your opinion?
Well, I would tell you, again, I have tremendous respect for Miami. Great team, great school. Their athletic director, Dan Radakovich, is a good friend. And all the teams in the ACC, great, wonderful universities. We have no gripes about any of the schools in the ACC. But we were mystified by the actions of the conference to attack, their biggest really business partner in football and a member of their conference in 24 of our other sports. And I would tell you, Dan, I wouldn't be honest with you if I didn't say that they have certainly done permanent damage to the relationship between the conference and Notre Dame.
What do you mean?
Just we didn't appreciate the fact that we were singled out repeatedly and compared to Miami. Not by Miami. Miami has every right to do that. But it raised a lot of eyebrows here that the conference was taking shots at us. And, that's just not something we chose to do. We wouldn't choose to do that in the future, and people might disagree with us, but that's just not something that we'd be comfortable with. And again, we have no problem with any of these teams. These are all great teams. You look at those teams, Miami, like I said, great season. They beat us. You think about Alabama, nobody's had more success in college football over the last decade than Alabama. But Dan, you follow this sport so closely. Everybody was saying that we were one of a handful of teams that could win this whole thing. Yeah. And now we have 0% chance. Even Nick Saban, nobody knows more about college football maybe in the history of the world than Nick Saban. And he said it yesterday, like, how is Notre Dame not in this? Everybody is just kind of confused and perplexed, and we don't have good answers for the kids on our team, for our student athletes.
Are you going to reevaluate your relationship with the ACC, the overall relationship?
I would just say it's been strained.
Yeah, and that's he doubled down on that today, held a press conference today and added more to that. Not that I really care. I don't care if Notre Dame and the ACC have a strained relationship. If they decide to part ways, if Notre Dame takes all their athletics somewhere else, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I know there are some around here. And I get it. They're a great historic program, institution. But the ACC, at the end of the day, has to advocate for its own members first. Yeah, Notre Dame is a partner, but its own individual members come first.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that they would try to prop up their own member institutions first. So again, it just goes to the more of the whining and just petulant, immature behavior in South Bend that is really surprising.
It's kind of the thing where you're a kid and you think adults are smart and know what they're doing and they're mature, and then you grow up and you realize that most adults are idiots. Partly because I've grown up and I'm like, aren't I supposed to be smart by now? I'm an adult. I pay taxes. And then you realize I'm not smart. And then you see the actions of other people and you realize we're all just a bunch of idiots, kind of.
Yeah.
And that's where you see this whining behavior.
Which, by the way, Notre Dame, part of the thing that they're going on and on about is we had an historic 10-game run.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Against
you didn't beat anybody of real note.
They beat.
Stop it.
Yeah, this is the thing. You want to say we don't have good answers for why they didn't get in. Well, I can tell you two really good answers for why you didn't get in. You lost to Miami, the team that got in ahead of you. And then you lost at home to Texas A&M. That's another team. A&M didn't end up getting to the playoff, did they? Or did?
Oh, yes.
Did they? Okay. I know they were top 10. I know they lost a game late. Yeah, they lost one game. So, you lost the two games that would have gotten you into the playoff. And so you don't get a complaint. Sure, you beat, I guess, Pitt, who went 8-4. You beat,
Boise?
Boise. They beat USC. But it's like this historic 10-game run. Man, Utah State's 2018 10-game win streak is as impressive as what they just did. Like, and Utah State wouldn't have sniffed the playoffs in 2018. So it's like this whole thing. And again, ragging on the ACC, whom Notre Dame basically has contempt for because of their, with football, where it's like, oh yeah, we'll be in the ACC and everything but football. But like, put the idea forward to Notre Dame fans, even before the ACC that kind of started having its, mini downfall or maybe full downfall, depending on what the future holds. But like, suggest to a Notre Dame fan in 2010 they should join the ACC and be like, no, we couldn't join a conference. We're independent. And it's like, yeah, because you hate the ACC. Sure, you're a member conference, you're a member in other sports, but like Notre Dame does not have respect for the ACC. Otherwise, they'd be a full member.
Right. There was some thought, well, COVID year, ACC threw them a lifeline. Like, look, play a schedule. We will help create a schedule for you.
Yeah.
And it was like, I guess so.
Yeah, Notre Dame routinely plays.
It was just like, then they turned their back on them as quick as they could to go, no, man, we're not. Don't get any thoughts that we're a full-time member here. That was just a one-off.
Yeah, and they routinely play a bunch of ACC teams just throughout the season anyway. It's kind of like what the Mountain West did for BYU. When they went independent, they threw them a bone. It's like,
they helped with their scheduling in October and November.
And so it's like when the ACC rightfully campaigns for its own teams that actually have respect for the conference, Notre Dame is shocked and mystified. It's like, no. Take your ball and go home and be the whiny loser that you are. If that's how you're going to act. Don't, be mad that you didn't get included. That's fine. But don't lash out at other people who, don't deserve, that ire.
I know this is a case of schadenfreude, but as much as there are debates about the whole college football playoff system and how it works or how it is failing, part of me just enjoys watching so many people dunking on Notre Dame for being whiny little brats.
Yeah, it's very much deserved. But again, it goes back to like we all thought the 12-team playoff was going to fix this because, more teams, but instead of the people at 5 and 6 whining they didn't get into the top 4, it's the people at 13 and 14 whining they didn't get into the top 12.
Every time you move the goalposts, you just set a new standard for people to debate and discuss, like who got left out.
It's just always going to happen. Like
Same thing with the college basketball tournament in March.
Yeah.
Well, it's 68. We should move it to 72 or 76 because look at these good teams that get left out.
We have people that go 18 and 16 on their season. And they're like, we got snubbed. I can't believe we didn't get in. Yeah. And it's like, come on, people.
Yes. 9310. All conversations about getting left out have to be paired with who gets bumped.
Well, I mean, in this case, I know normally that's my thing. If you get snubbed, you have to pick who. These guys have no shortage of who they're picking. They say they should be getting in over. For BYU, they were saying they get in over Notre Dame and Miami and probably Alabama. Basically, it's those four whining among each other as to who should have gotten in.
Right. By the way, I know this is a little slightly off topic, but I've been meaning to look at this all week and just pulled it up. The ratings for college football viewership on Thanksgiving weekend. Utah State, Boise State drew a bigger audience than Notre Dame, Stanford. Utah State, Boise State on CBS drew just over 2 million viewers.
Has a lot more to do with what channel you're on than as opposed to like who.
And it was a close game. It was down to the wire. It wasn't a blowout.
But still, you put these Mountain West teams on CBS. You put these G5 teams.
You give them opportunities for exposure.
Yeah, people will watch.
Yeah.
And if as long as they're competitive. And again, that's why I'd love to see at least a competitive game with James Madison and Tulane, because it'll draw numbers. Because people want to watch good football.
Right, there is a segment of America that's going to be rooting for the underdog.
Yeah,
and intrigued by the team that not very many people know much about.
Yeah, and it's why you get these people in suits, talking heads on TV that don't actually enjoy sports. They enjoy talking about brands in conferences. And if there's one thing that I feel like has contributed to the degradation, before we go to break here, if there's one thing that's contributed to the degradation of college sports, it's not so much that executives and all these, faceless suits are, talking about college football like it's a business. It's that a lot of fans and media also now talk like TV executives. We just talked about media ratings here, and it's like, what the heck do media ratings like? Why does a fan care about how many people watched a different game in their conference? Like, you want more people to watch your team because maybe that can increase your own fan base. But like the people talking about media deals and all that kind of stuff, like that has contributed more to the dying aspect of college football of what it used to be than anything else. Is that not so much that these conversations are being had by some people, but that fans have picked that up as a normal discourse. Like, fans talking like TV executives? No. Talk about the games. You're fans of the players,
Right.
the teams, the brands. Wear your team's favorite T-shirt, not the CBS, sweater. Like, that's something I've wanted to say for a while, is that the biggest thing that I'm disappointed about with college sports discourse is how many fans talk like TV executives, because that's just disappointing.
All right, we got to take a time out here in the Full Court Press. Still love to hear from you. 435-339-0321 here on the Full Court Press.
Utah winters come fast. Is your car ready? Don't miss this special at Master Auto Tech. Right now, buy 3 tires and get 1 free for up to $200 off. Why pay for 4 when you can get 1 for free? With 22 locations, including Logan, Brigham City, and Ogden, it's easy to get rolling. Don't wait. This special offer ends December 31st. Visit masterauto.tech and drive safe this winter.
Your trusted, helpful expert, Master Auto Tech.
Winter's rolling in. Cold, snow, wind, but Mother Nature can't cancel us. At Top Shed, we build custom sheds year-round right on site in northern Utah, southern Idaho, and Wyoming. Blizzards, freezing temperatures, doesn't matter. We don't shut down. We show up, we build. So if you need storage, workplace, or a backyard upgrade, don't wait for spring. Top Shed builds in any weather. Top Shed, making sheds great again. Call 435-760-7766 or visit TopShedUSA.com.
This holiday season, make gift-giving effortless at the Sportsman in downtown Logan. Shopping for that one person who has it all? You're sure to find something at the Sportsman they will love. From top-tier skis and ski rentals to the brands everyone's obsessed with. Birkenstock, Free People, The North Face, Viore, Fjallraven, Cool, and many more. The Sportsman has gifts that feel personal, premium, and unforgettable. Whether you're after comfort, outdoor adventure, or pure style, make your holiday shopping easy and exciting only at the Sportsman in downtown Logan.
Holiday parties and events at the Riverwoods Conference Center offer a festive and fun holiday atmosphere. Paired with catering from Elements Restaurant, your special occasion can include tasty hors d'oeuvres, delicious entrees, and decadent desserts that always deliver excellence. Now accepting reservations for this holiday season. The Riverwoods Conference Center and Elements Restaurant easily accommodate large or small events. Visit theriverwoods.com or call 750-5151.
It doesn't matter who you root for. The Full Court Press has all the high school sports covered. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
At Mountain Valley Heating and Air Conditioning, now is the time to feel the love and the savings. With current tax credits and government rebates, you save up to 40 and 50% on new heating and cooling systems. But call now because rebates end this year. Call 435-557-4181, 435-557-4181 at Mountain Valley Heating and Air. So, yeah, a lot of discussion about college football playoff, Notre Dame, viewership. But news today that a team a little bit closer to home making some news, and that's the University of Utah, who has officially created a new entity and a new that will go into business with private equity, raising $500 million for the University of Utah. They're teaming up with New York-based firm Otro Capital. They're creating a new entity it's a for-profit entity called Utah Brands and Entertainment LLC. And it's an independent offshoot of the athletic department. So it is co-owned by the university and Otro Capital. The athletic department, the university is the majority owner. So they have the ultimate say, they have more power for scheduling decisions, coaching decisions, things like that. But this private equity group is going to have a say in what takes place, and they will earn a percentage of that company's annual revenue.
Yeah, and if you considered this an inevitable step, like it had to happen, Utah is probably going about it in the best way that you can to try and protect its, interests. But there's one inescapable fact, and that is that private equity, and there's some Utah fans that are like literally celebrating this. One guy was going off on social media being like, more national titles for Utah. Utah showing who's king in college sports. I'm just like, and there are a lot of people in the comments who write, and even Ute fans, like I don't think a whole lot of Ute fans are happy about this, because what's going to happen, and I pretty much said as much on social media myself, it's going to be a lot more expensive to be a Ute fan. And as I say, I offer my condolences. It's just going to be so much more expensive. You look at what happens when private equity touches business ventures. What they do is they suck the life out of those ventures. They find ways to just raise money at literally any cost. They do not care about anything.
They don't care about brand loyalty. They don't care about your connection to an institution or business. Their goal is to squeeze as much juice out of that rind as they can. And then when there's no more juice, it's a discarded husk. then they move on and do that to another institution.
And private equity has stepped into the sports world before. Like one of the things that you're seeing is they buy up sports venues, like hockey rinks. I think it is one example. Just different field venues, and they've dived into youth sports. And youth sports was already kind of a mess as far as how expensive it can be for parents, and it's getting worse, partly because of private equity stepping in. Like they'll buy like a soccer field or a hockey rink and then make you pay for like literally everything that they can find to drag as much money as they possibly can, knowing that you'll just pay for it. And so for Ute fans, concessions are going to go up. In exactly how that, they'll probably just force the vendors to pay more money for the stuff, but then the concessions
it gets passed on. Yeah.
Tickets, they're going to go up.
Ticket fees.
Yeah. Ticket fees, all these different
seat
things.
Licenses.
Yeah. Anything that you anything you can imagine that costs money is going to get more expensive, and things you didn't think you had to pay for, you're going to have to start paying for. And so Utah is basically going to be the first victim, Utah fans, I should say, because the University of Utah as an institution, as an athletics department, will probably not feel the wrath that much. And they may not sense that a whole lot is wrong, depending on what feedback they get from their fans. But it's going to be way, way, way more expensive to be a fan of the Utah Utes. And that's just, like, you can't find a way to be happy about that in any way. Like, even if you hate the University of Utah, there is just no way that you can be happy about that, because you get a bunch of fans who are going to be treated as cash cows. As if sports already hadn't been doing. Like, before private equity stepped in, that's kind of how a lot of fans were being treated. I mean, look at some of the cheapskate owners in Major League Baseball. And they're not exclusive, but where they'd run cheap rosters and try and extract as much money. They treated their sports franchise they owned as a cash cow. Private equity is going to be even worse. And sure, do they not have they won't have like the final say, but like
they're going to have influence.
They have a say. And I don't think that the athletics basically, like, the private equity is not going to push to fire a coach. Private equity is not going to push to hire, or to sign certain players. Like the day-to-day functionality of the athletics department, where they're dealing with a lot of players and coaches and things like that, that's not really going to be affected. Private equity is not really going to care about that.
Well, according to an article in CBS Sports, Utah Brands and Entertainment will oversee the revenue-sharing efforts with Utes athletes. their AD is set to chair the board of this new entity, but it will elect a president from outside the university. Personnel, divisions, and operations that were traditionally under the athletic department's umbrella will largely exist as part of the new company.
Yeah.
So coaches will not be part of it, but anyone in that athletic department, or like sometimes they'll have these outside entities that help handle media rights and other advertising, things like that. They're going to be folded into this new entity, this new organization.
But that, again, we're talking about business stuff where, like, as far as decisions about which players to pay, which coaches to hire, like, that's not something that private equity is going to really be concerned about, because they don't care about whether the team does well or not. What they care about is how much money they're making.
Yeah, what are the margins?
Yeah. So for them, like, sure, they may technically, they'll be part owner in the company that will make those decisions, but private equity is not going to bother itself with those, again, player-coach decisions. They're going to be concerned about the business money-making decisions. And while there's some overlap there, obviously, there's just going to be a lot of financial decisions that, for the athletics department, again, they may not be too worried about it because their job is safe and the school still goes on and the coaches may not have to deal with it as much. But you're going to have a bunch of fans that, again, it's just going to be way more expensive. And so that's, I don't need to go on and on and on and on. But
yeah, it's part of the challenge with private equity in any business is that while it provides an infusion of cash and some outside eyeballs to help with management and the future of the company, it also comes with a lot of strings and turning the screws on it. Like a company can have a successful year, but if its margins, if its growth didn't meet the expectations that was put onto it by somebody outside, then that's a negative. And so they will find ways to squeeze more out of it. You can be a successful company, but if you don't have the margins or the growth that was expected, then they will view you as a down product. And like, how does that make sense? Like, why are we, even though you're successful, you're doing things right. If you're not doing it by the margins and the total cash flow that somebody else has set for you, then that's bad juju. And that makes it hard because then they find new ways to squeeze even harder.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole, I can talk about with capitalism and all that kind of stuff and quarterly earnings and all that stuff. It's basically the real world infringing on college sports is kind of the problem we're having.
Yeah.
So that one text on this 9-315, or is there a couple? I don't know if we got to this last one. We're just saying I hope at least one or two group of six went around in the playoffs. But 9-315 saying, will that mean no more taxpayer subsidies for Utah sports? Well, I mean, it'll still be fun, I imagine, from the university. It's
still a tax-supported institution,
that
also supports athletics. But what this does is it starts to, I think there's going to be increasing pressure for these institutions to divest athletics from what the institution does. And the biggest contributor to Utah State athletics aren't donors. It's not ticket sales. It's not media revenue. It's the institution of Utah State University and ticket and student fees.
Or you're talking about Utah State.
Yeah, Utah State University.
Yeah, Utah State in this case, yeah, like at least half their budget just comes from Utah State.
Yeah, they just write a check.
Yeah.
So, but there's going to be increased pressure that as it gets more and more expensive to operate athletic departments, that the institution can't keep doing this, and so they have to find this revenue somewhere else.
Yeah, and if they'd have been smarter about this and not gotten themselves into because like the problem they got is that they got to this point where they have to revenue share with athletes and they have to come up with $20 million, and like they can all afford that theoretically in terms of they make like $200 million plus dollars, some of these institutions, but they've been wasting that money on a bunch of other stuff, so they don't have $20 million laying around even though their budget's there. And instead of, they
remodel their big fancy locker room for the third time in 5 years.
Yeah, so it's like they have to come up with $20 million more dollars every single year that wasn't there before. And ideally, it'll just be a transition period where they all adjust. But since so many teams are going to, like Ohio State's like freakishly in debt. We talk about UNLV being in debt. Like, there are other teams that are like twice as in debt as UNLV is. Like, big name programs that are in massive debt because they're spending so much money that they just don't have. And that's part of why they keep turning to private equity, is they're hoping for a cash bailout.
Right. Yeah. They're looking for that.
They're looking for the easy
way out of the problems that they've created.
Yeah. They've, as 8968 saying, I'm afraid college athletics brought it upon themselves. It sucks. And yeah, it does. College athletics created its own problem, and they keep asking others, private equity firms, Saudi wealth, sovereign wealth funds, and Congress. They keep begging all these people to bail them out instead of turning to, it always comes back to collective bargaining for me. They could make, if they actually used their brains and looked for a solution that would benefit college sports, its athletes, and its fans. Like, despite the fact that I called all adults idiots about 20 minutes ago, people are actually smart. And like, I keep talking about how random fans will come up with these brilliant ideas on brilliantly simple, in most cases, ways to fix college sports. But nobody listens to them because, they'd rather be bailed out by private equity because they don't have to face the music. The current athletic director isn't going to face the real consequences of hiring private equity because it's probably one or two athletic directors down the road.
Right. It'll be 4 or 5 years down the road when it really starts to be felt.
The dead husk of Utah athletics, if that's the end result of this, that'll be the next, essentially CEO's decision, problem to deal with. And it's just sad how short-sighted college sports is, and everyone's just kind of going along with it.
They become so desperate for money that they will look past the whole principles of why they're supposed to be there in the first place.
Yeah, they're just kicking the can down the road. Like, you can do something hard. Like, it would be hard and not fun and a lot of other things to actually go through the process of collective bargaining, reworking the conferences to make better sense for rivalries and regionality and, just for the betterment of everyone. It would be hard and it would be annoying and everyone would hate it for a couple of years. But you could actually fix it. And it would be really hard to reverse a lot of the somewhat potentially permanent damage that college athletics has done to itself. But you would fix it. It's like surgery where you literally are cutting people open, but you're fixing it in the end. Like, you do surgery on an ACL, you can't walk on it for a long time, but you heal it.
Right.
Instead, you have
to tear it down before you can build it back up.
You've got college sports, which has 2 broken legs, and they're just like, here's a pair of crutches.
Here's a Band-Aid.
Yeah, here's a pair of crutches. Go out and run a marathon. That's what we're at with college sports. You can actually do the very painful thing of actually fixing and having long-term solutions, or you can do whatever the heck they're doing.
All right. If you want to weigh in on it, 435-339-0321. Maybe you're a Utah fan and this has you excited. Love to hear from you as well. Get the other perspective. 435-339-0321 here on the Full Court Press.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice. When it comes to home care, it's important for you to know you do have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of home care services, remember Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient, not the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Call for a free home safety evaluation, 787-1369, and visit primrosecare.com. Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
At Mountain Valley Heating and Air Conditioning, now's the time to feel the love and the savings. With current tax credits and government rebates, save up to 40 and 50% on new heating and cooling systems. From residential tune-ups to commercial HVAC projects, Mountain Valley has you covered. Rebates and credits end at the end of this year. Take advantage today. Go to mtnvalleyhvac.com and start saving while you feel the love.
Old McDarrell has a farm, an appliance farm.
With down-home country prices and big city selection.
E-I-E-I-O. When you're looking for a friendly spot to drive a little and save a lot, hey, Old McDarrell has a farm, an appliance farm. Low overhead, but lots of country charm. See Darrell's Appliance in beautiful beautiful downtown Benson.
Hi, this is Robbie with LSS Insurance. If you're about to turn 65, the Medicare phone calls, mailers, and emails can be unreal. Out-of-market telemarketers simply do not understand Utah, Idaho, or your individual situation. We have real answers and real solutions with local help. At LSS Insurance, we are your health insurance specialists. Call us 752-9493. Having local help makes all the difference, and there's no cost to you. Call 752-9493 or visit lssins.com.
Join the show by calling 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Love to hear from you as well. 435-339-0321 on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line. We've been covering a lot of college football, talking about University of Utah getting into the private equity business. Donors can buy into this.
Yeah, it's an investment opportunity.
Group. Right.
It's a for-profit business that they're basically selling shares of.
And the University of Utah has an option to outright buy this company. Now, one of the things that's kind of that annoyed me about Diana Sabo was when she would do these press conferences, for whatever the reason was, she would talk about thanking the investors of Utah State Athletics. And what an odd term. Because an investor implies that you get something in return, a financial return.
It was a very calculated, because people feel a lot better being called an investor. Again, it's probably some a PR firm told her to say, but it's use the term investor because it resonates better with the 18 to 35 demographic.
But you're not a donor, you're an investor.
Yeah, you're not giving to a charity. You are investing in the future of athletics, and you can give a whole lot of fancy speeches over it.
Yeah, I always disliked that term and how it was used. But in this case, with what Utah's doing, they literally can have investors.
Yeah, that is a little investor.
You have an ownership stake.
Got me there. Donors are now investors.
Yes.
I guess I lose.
But shifting gears a little bit, though, if you still want to talk about it, we'll love to entertain your text.
We did have 8968 saying, let the big boys have their mess and welcome to it. I just want to watch amateur sports. I'm not much of a pro fan. I'm not much of a pro fan of any sport. You might have to stick to high school sports.
Well, then go to the high school ranks.
That's your
last vestige.
And
even that's getting...
And the military academies. Those are basically your last... Or just any non-revenue sport. You're pretty safe there as well.
Yeah.
Utah State volleyball, soccer.
Well, yeah, that's true.
College baseball's kind of getting...
Baseball can get kind of funky in some places.
Baseball's a bit of a revenue sport.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like women's basketball, where it's like, there's definitely people making 7-figure salaries, but there's single-digit numbers of them.
Right. So, there aren't very many. They are very rare.
But they exist, and a lot of people are getting paid.
Yes, they do exist.
Basically anything outside of football, men's basketball, women's basketball, and college baseball. Most other sports in the collegiate landscape are still mostly in the amateur sports, the old-fashioned way.
Let's talk about some former Aggies. How are they doing in the pros? Neemias Queta with the Boston Celtics. There were a lot of people who thought Boston, Jason Tatum's injury, they're really going to struggle this year. They're fighting the second apron, so they had to do some things to change their roster. And the hopes and expectations of Boston were not very high. Turns out they didn't get that memo. They struggled a little bit in the opening. But lately, they're one of the hottest teams in the NBA. Neemias Queta is a large part of the reason why. They were sitting at 8-8. Since then, they're 15-9 right now. So this is a team that's playing some really solid basketball, and Neemias Queta is definitely a large part of that. He's having himself a solid run as the starting center for the Boston Celtics. And just recently, in their last game played against Toronto, 11 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. I mean, guy's everywhere. He's doing everything.
Yeah, this is he's basically become your solid 25-minute per game starting center. Is he your highest scoring, guy? Is he putting up these crazy numbers and being your star, your go-to guy at the end of the game? No, he's not that. But he's making critical plays for him. I remember watching Isaiah Hartenstein when he was with the Knicks. Of course, then he went to OKC and helped them win a championship. But he was a super important piece. Not that he was making all the different plays, but in that he was making a bunch of good plays, particularly rebounding. You need a guy that can go out there and get you 8 rebounds a game, get you some offensive rebounds. Against Minnesota, he grabbed, a couple weeks back, he grabbed 8 offensive rebounds. Against Toronto the other night, he grabbed 6 offensive rebounds, part of, an 11 rebound game, as you mentioned, 11 points as well. This is a guy who's going to go out there and play crucial minutes, make crucial plays. He's not the superstar Jaylen Brown who's averaging 30 a game.
Yeah.
But this is a guy
who's a versatile cog in what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's the same thing that Sam Merrill has become. Are they stars? Maybe not. But these are bona fide NBA players. And heaven knows, once you finally give these guys a chance, these are guys who wallowed in the G League for years as two-way players, and they'd put up crazy stats in the G League and then they'd not play once they were on the full roster. And it's give these guys a chance. Let them show you the talent. Neemias Queta is 7 foot with a 7'3", 7'4" wingspan. Sam Merrill is a fantastic shooter and has a lot more, great basketball IQ, and he's not that bad of an athlete. Let these guys go out there, give them some minutes, give them some, burn with the main team, and they can be good players. And what do you know? Sam Merrill's earned himself a big contract. It turned out he could contribute on a contending team. And Neemias Queta, he's probably going to earn himself a pretty nice contract because he's being a good player. Again, starting every single game he's played in so far and averaging 24 minutes a game. This is a guy who's going to earn himself a contract. We'll see if it's with Boston. I don't know if they can afford him. Sorry, there's a highlight on Neemias Queta's main stats page, and somebody just tripped over themselves.
Oh.
So I was it's playing Neemias Queta highlights, but it's as he was running by, some guy just tripped over his own feet. So it's hard for me to not just chuckle at that. But yeah, that tangent aside, it's great what you're seeing.
But it also illustrates the value of the G League, where if guys don't initially right away fit with what they're trying to accomplish in the NBA, it does give them opportunities to hone their skills and understand the training, the competition, fine tuning some of their skills, getting rid of bad habits, whatever, and then refining their skills so that they can be a regular contributor on an NBA roster.
I think the biggest part is just the fact that it's kind of able to keep them within the NBA bubble. Because and I think the value there is just them getting playing time.
Yeah.
Because did Neemias Queta and Sam Merrill become infinitely better players because they were in the G League? I mean, they probably did that while they were in the G League, because one of the biggest improvements we saw from Sam Merrill is that he went from a guy with a pretty decently quick release in college to a guy who has a lightning release, in the NBA, 5-6 years in. So that's where the value of the G League is. If you're willing to have a guy around and have him in your organization, give him some playing time, then, you can eventually bring him in. Once you finally give them a chance, turns out these guys are talented.
Right. And both guys got opportunities because somebody else got hurt.
Yeah.
Here's your opportunity, and they took advantage of that opportunity. Now, Sam himself is hurting a little bit, hasn't been able to contribute, and maybe it's related, but just like how Boston is suddenly on an upswing, and Neemias Queta is playing a lot and contributing a lot to that success, Sam Merrill has been out, and recently Cleveland's been on a slide. They've only won 2 of their last 8 games. So that's a team that's struggling right now, and Sam Merrill has not been a part of their lineup.
Well, they've also been missing Darius Garland, though I think he came back, so he's playing. Darius Garland is playing again, but they're trying to work him back into the full lineup. They had to get rid of another guy who was a key part. It was I forget his name. First name starts with a T, I think. He was like a 6'6" point guard. Basically, they were choosing between him and Sam Merrill. They let the other guy go. Why can't I remember his name? But they had to let go of some guys. They're all And heck, are they missing Jared Allen too? So like they're dealing with multiple injuries.
Yes, they have. It's not just Sam. They got a few other injuries that they're dealing with.
Look at their injury report. They've not had Jared Allen.
Him not
since,
being available certainly doesn't help.
They've not had Jared Allen since November 30th. They've not had Larry Nance. I forgot. Did he leave and come back to Cleveland? Larry Nance Jr. Or has he just been there the whole time?
I thought he was in Washington.
Because I remember him being on Cleveland, and then I thought of him being somewhere else. Yeah, he was. He hadn't been in Cleveland since 2021. Then he was with Portland and the Pelicans and Atlanta. Yeah, I was like, this was really weird seeing his name again. I was like, wait a minute, did he not leave? I was like, I could have sworn Larry Nance used to be in Cleveland, but wasn't anymore. I haven't been as checked in on the NBA, if you can't tell. But yeah, it's well, hopefully Sam is able to come back, and if for Cleveland in general, because like this is a year for them. Like with Boston, supposedly, not being the contender, but if Jaylen Brown keeps playing the way he is, and if guys like Neemias Queta keep stepping up, maybe they'll still be a contender. But like Indiana, they were without Tyrese Halliburton. The 76ers, whatever the heck is going on with them. We're up against a break, aren't we?
Yeah.
Let's look at the clock.
We need to take one. We do.
Okay, so I'll cut off my rambling here about the NBA.
But yeah, nice to see what Neemi is doing and how he's really coming along and helping the Boston Celtics right now. Sam is still dealing with a bit of an injury, but Jordan Love, he's in the discussion of MVP candidates, and Bobby Wagner continues to perform at a very, very high level for Washington. Got to take a quick time out, turn the full court press. When we come back, the stat that blew our minds and our players of the week.
The chips and drinks are endless. The burrito is huge for only $7.95. It's got to be Cafe Sabor, Cache Valley's best Mexican restaurant and gold medal winner in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Experience Locals Day every Thursday with a huge burrito, endless chips and soda, only $7.95. Finding any lunch under $10 is nearly impossible. Every Thursday, drinks, chips, and a massive burrito. You pay just $7.95. The food, the fun at Cafe Sabor in the historic train station on 6th West and Center in Logan.
Thank you for letting Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, the Allergy Clinic, and the Hearing Aid Center care for your family this year. Be sure to call us for an appointment before the end of the year to make the most of your cafeteria or flex funds. Located in Providence and North Logan, Cache Valley ENT also has offices in Box Elder, Rich, Bear Lake, and Franklin counties. The entire team at Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat wish you and your family a healthy holiday season. Go to CacheValleyENT.com for details. Most insurance plans, including Select Health, are accepted.
Over the past few years, strong and crazy weather patterns have battered various parts of the country. Northern Utah and southern Idaho are not immune from its share of wild weather. Be prepared for power outages with a Generac backup generator from Golden Spike Electric. They are your local source for Generac sales and service. Generac keeps you in control when bad weather strikes. Golden Spike Electric, powering your peace of mind. Online at gsegenerators.com or call 257-3016. They also service other models.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. And we'd love to hear from you as well. Young Power Sports of Logan text line is open, 435-339-0321 if you want to chime in. We're covering a lot of different topics this hour, but let's get into the stat that blew our minds and our player of the week. It's a chance to kind of look back at the week that was, highlight some individuals, and let's start off with the stat that blew our minds.
Let's take a look at the numbers. It's the stat that blew our minds.
He did what?
On the Full Court Press.
Wow, that blew my mind.
Jason, you got a stat that sends out to you?
Yeah, there was one. I was kind of already vaguely aware of this trend, but like somebody pointed out, and I reposted this on social media and added some of my own commentary, but this whole thing about group of fives and being in the playoff and all that. And Tom Fornelli on Twitter pointing out that, so he says that not a single Group 5 team played in the first round of last year's college football playoff because Boise State had a bye. And the average margin in those first round games was 19.3 points. So it's like Playoffs are all about blowouts.
There's a lot of blowouts in playoffs.
Yeah, blowouts happen in college football. It's not like the NFL where most games are close. College football is all about those blowouts. So, yeah, don't be discounting the G5 just because they might get blown out. Everyone gets blown out in the playoffs.
Mine's into the NFL. Rough weekend for the reigning teams, the two teams that were involved in the Super Bowl last year. Kansas City and Philadelphia had a rough weekend. It's the first time ever that both starting quarterbacks from the previous season's Super Bowl had 0 touchdown passes and more than 3 interceptions in the same week.
It's crazy.
It was a rough weekend for both Mahomes and Hurts.
Maybe the craziest thing, because there's who's the announcer that keeps like praising Patrick Mahomes, like Collinsworth or something?
Oh, Collinsworth, yes.
Or like they showed a clip of him on the sideline while the Texans. It was like a parody because people make fun of him, like saying, "Oh, that's something that Patrick Mahomes would do," and something completely unrelated, like a clip of Tiger Woods making a putt, and they like dub that line over.
Yeah.
And like they show a clip of Patrick Mahomes while the Texans are driving in the red zone. And he starts going off about Patrick Mahomes and how resilient he is, and it's like, what? Are you leaning into this as a parody of yourself? Like he won't shut up about Patrick Mahomes, even though the Chiefs have a losing record and probably won't make the playoffs. And it's like, holy cow, man. Like not even Patriots fans were, saying that about Tom Brady. Like,
that's crazy. Yes. It's not, sometimes it's really irritating. Other times it's just funny because it happens so much.
Yeah. It's just like, you thought those memes were an exaggeration. They're not.
So from stats that jump out to us, what about players?
Time to see who the real MVP is.
If you have a good game, your game is going to say that. You don't have to say it.
Puts a lot of cool things in perspective anytime you're the first time doing something.
It's the Full Court Press Player of the Week.
Let's go!
You got a player that stood out to you, Jason?
Yeah, I do. It's Utah State basketball guard Mason Falslev. Kind of for the last couple of games, but really you look at his last, I think, 5 games, it is, where he's averaging 16.5 points, 6 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 4 steals per game. Like, I was watching the film back and realized he didn't get credit for one of what should have been a 5th steal, or probably like steal 3 out of what should have been 5 against Charlotte. So like, and you look at his last 3 games, he got 17 points, 19 points, 22 points. Like, this is a guy who's stepping up. We were all somewhat concerned about a lack of production, particularly in points early on, where in his first 4 games he scored more than 10 points once. But this is a guy who's, to put in Collinsworth. Now here's the guy who's playing really well. I can't do a Collinsworth impression, but
You get the idea.
Yeah.
You get the idea. For me, I'm going to go with Utah State sophomore opposite side hitter Lauren Helgeson. Led the Aggies in a pair of matches down in Tempe, Arizona in the NCAA women's volleyball tournament. She was outstanding for her efforts. Utah State beats Tennessee, but then they ended up losing to second-seeded Arizona State. But Helgeson was fantastic, helping the team in where she could. 14 kills, .308 hitting percentage, tied the team with 4 blocks, 7 digs. Outstanding performance for her and great run for Utah State volleyball. That'll do it for us tonight, everybody. Have a great
Sports Talk Radio, KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, and online at 1069thefan.com.